those less fortunate. Through our annual campaign, our Federation's funding for more than 70 partner agencies here in Israel and around the world enables us to respond immediately in difficult times like these. With our vital support, our agency partners on the front lines of the COVID-19 crisis are able to carry out, adapt, and increase their care for these most vulnerable in the face of unprecedented challenges. All right. After our program, we will email you information on how to learn more about us, along with more great virtual opportunities to connect. And before we get started, I just have a couple housekeeping notes for you. First, your microphone is muted now for the presentation, but you will have the ability to ask questions during our Q&A time afterward. In addition, you can adjust the way your screen appears if you would like to view the person who is speaking or asking the question. So please select speaker view at the top of your Zoom screen. Now, it is my privilege to introduce our presenters, Eva Powel and Jamie Salas. Eva Powel is William and Grant Sons Area Manager for Florida's on-premise business. She began her studies with a BA in mathematics before additionally taking up the study of ceramics and earning a BA in fine art from Arcadia University in Philadelphia. Her unique foundation of analytics and creativity has led her to have a successful sales and marketing center with 10 years of diverse alcohol beverage experience. Eva's entrepreneurial spirit and practical business management skills enable her to execute business strategies that drive results. Outside of the business world, Eva is also an accomplished sculptor with large outdoor works on display at Grounds for Sculpture in her native New Jersey, which, by the way, I took a moment to look at Eva's website and wow, she's talented. She enjoys exploring culture, loves to travel and eat, and appreciates life. When not working, this Jersey girl can be found doing homework for her MBA or winding down with her rescue dog, Larry, at the beach. Now, Jamie, combining passion, charisma, and originality with an unrivaled knowledge and reverence for the art of tequila, National Ambassador Jamie Salas is the perfect embodiment of modern-day Mexico. Having growing up, dividing his time between the creative freedom of San Francisco and Mexico's tequila-producing region of Jalisco, Jamie developed a unique perspective on the country's most famous export, which has informed every aspect of his career since. His tequila and mixology expertise has been consistently featured at some of the country's most prominent events, including Tales of the Cocktail in New Orleans and the Food and Wine Classic in Aspen, as well as in a range of national print, online, and broadcast media such as Cosmopolitan, The Daily Meal, Eater, Hot Living, In Style, Fox and Friends, NBC Miami, and Refinery 29, among others. He currently resides in Brooklyn, New York, sharing his apartment with a remarkable collection of more than 300 unique and hard-to-find tequila bottles and an equally large collection of vintage sneakers. So I'd like to welcome Jamie by video and Eva.
Hi. Happy Cinco de Mayo, everyone. So I'm going to introduce you to Jamie Salas via video right now. He's going to go through two really great, easy go-to recipes for tequila featuring Milagro Silver, as well you'll see in the video, Milagro Reposado. So let me start Jamie.
Hi,
Let me do it with volume one more time. Share sound. Share.
My name is Jaime Salas, National Ambassador for Milagro Tequila. And today I thought I'd show you two variations on our very popular Milagro's Freshest Margarita. Our first variation is a savory one. We begin with a pinch of cilantro, about 3 to 4 rounds of cucumber, some jalapeno. I recommend 1 slice to start, more if you like it spicy. And then we're going to muddle. Extract all of that flavor. from these veggies. Now, we're going to introduce 2 parts of Milagro 100% Blue Agave Jaliscan Highland Tequila. 1 part fresh pressed lime juice. And 3/4 part agave nectar. We're going to ice down our shaker. Give it a nice shake to combine all those beautiful flavors together. And I am going to double strain this into a ready-to-go rocks glass. Salt is optional. And that's just because I personally don't like all the little bits of cilantro and cucumber. However, if you like your margarita a little bit more texture, by all means, single strain it. Lastly, we're going to garnish with cucumber. You can also incorporate cilantro or a jalapeno slice if you wish. And there you have it. This is the mercadito, meaning little market. The next variation is going to be a little bit more tropical in flavor. So for this one, I thought we would incorporate Milagro Reposado instead of the silver. So before we do that, how do we make it sweet? How do we make it tropical? Well, we're going to introduce pineapple in this case. It's about 3 to 4 chunks. I'm going to opt for some basil. I'm a big fan of the aromatic basil leaf, so we're going to put that in there. And again, we're going to extract all those flavors by muddling. Same parts as before, however, now Milagro Reposado, which spends about 2 to 4 months in contact with American white oak casks. Looking at 2 parts here. 1 part fresh lime juice. And 3/4 part agave nectar. Let's turn the shaker. Get our glass ready. And again, I'm going to double strain just to separate the pineapple and basil from my drink. So you can see it's got a beautiful golden hue to it, whereas the mercadito's nice green vegetal notes. Lastly, we're going to garnish with basil leaf. And this variation, the freshest, is called the Veracruzana, for a little state in Mexico that is known for the very tiny but very flavor-packed pineapples. Here's to you. For more margarita variations and other tequila cocktails, please visit us at Milagro Tequila or at milagrotequila.com. Salud.
Here we go. So that was Jamie. Can you tell that that was a Brooklyn kitchen because it was about 3 feet wide versus a Florida kitchen, which is probably 30 feet wide? So I hope you guys enjoyed the drinks. I made the pineapple one. I did make it before the session started, but it's really good. So if anybody has any questions about the recipes or about Milagro Tequila, or the alcohol beverage industry, I work for William Grant, so we sell Milagro as well as Scotch, gin, a whole bunch of brands. You're more than welcome to open it up for questions, or if you're still finishing your drink, that's okay too.
Great. Well, thank you, Eva, and thank Jamie for us. I don't know about everyone else, but I am so in the mood for a margarita now. But before we all go rush and make our margaritas, I thought it would be a great opportunity to start with questions. So I'll kick it off, and then if you just want to click your raise hand button at the bottom of the screen, it's right next to the participants button. So as soon as a question pops up, go ahead and raise your hand. So first, I was wondering if you could tell us a little bit about the founders of the brand.
Yeah, so the founders of Milagro are actually two college pals. Their name are Danny and Moy, like Roy with an M, Moy. But in around 1998, right before the early 2000s, Danny and Moy, who are from Mexico, wanted to take the anything is possible creativity of Mexico City, and they wanted to put it in a tequila. And they're really two optimists who really wanted to make a tequila with the approach that anything is possible. So those are the two founders, and the way they got it made is at the same time, Pedro Juarez, who is a master distiller with over 30 years of experience, he was working on one of the biggest tequila brands, and his work and his tasks were really very focused, and he was pressured to always cut costs. So you had these two guys, Danny and Moy, who wanted to make a tequila that was creative and full of energy, and they weren't really focusing on the costs and squeezing pennies. And then you had Pedro, who wanted to get to the art of making tequila. And they basically met, and that's how Milagro, Miracle, this tequila was born. So that's a little information about the two founders, Danny Moy, and the master distiller, Pedro.
So cool, thank you for sharing. I think we have a question from Andrea Schuver.
Okay.
Yes, naive question. What is agave mix? I mean, I know what agave is, but not agave mix.
Agave mixed or agave minced?
I thought he said agave mix, what he was literally putting into the cocktail.
Oh, so there's agave nectar. I think he was squeezing the agave nectar. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's like a simple syrup. You could do the agave. Yeah, honey. That's the agave mix, the agave nectar.
Okay. Awesome. Big question for you. Have sales increased since the start of this COVID crisis?
So it's interesting. So I manage the on-premise for the state of Florida, and sales for the off-premise, which is where you go and you buy something and you take it off the premise, like a grocery store or retail store, those sales have been growing a lot. So sales in the off-premise have grown. Obviously, sales in restaurants and bars where you consume the product on the premise, which would be on-premise, they have really come to a standstill. But in March, because we had this, I think this rush to stock up and load your pantry, sales across the board, even though on-premise was down, off-premise really made up for it. So March was a great month, but it's really interesting right now. I don't think anybody in the world has ever experienced this before. So every day and every week is different. But so far, year to date, Milagro is growing and the We Grant portfolio is growing.
Wow, very interesting. I didn't think about the on-premise, off-premise, so thanks for sharing that. Also, this might be a little bit of a naive question, but can you tell us a little bit about how tequila is made? Like, what's the process?
Yeah, so actually, I have some cool pictures that I want to show you. I will share this with you. Everybody should be able to see this deck. It's a couple quick pictures, but they really kind of help. I'm a visual learner, so they really help me understand the process. So Milagro, one of their saying, coined by the two founders, the brighter side of tequila, a lot of energy and creativity. These are actually the two founders that we spoke about, Danny and Moy. And so the craft, the first thing you do is you have to grow the 100% blue agave plant. And that's grown in a field. And the man carrying the piña, which is the center of the agave plant, he's the jimador. And all he does is he goes in the fields, and the agave plants take years to grow. And they harvest the agave plants. They cut off all those kind of spiky leaves, and then they take the piña, which is the center part of the agave, which is on the man's shoulder. And then from there, one of those two key features about Milagro that set it apart. And the first one is the slow roasting. And it's just like when anybody cooks. If you're cooking a tomato sauce or any recipe, the more you let something stew and roast, the better it's going to taste. So Milagro slow roasts the piñas for about a day and a half in clay ovens. So from there, you get these really juicy piñas, and this may not look very pretty, but you have all this yummy juice, and they separate the fibers of the plant from the juice, and from there, kind of one of the most important parts, they put that juice, which has a lot of sugar in it, with yeast into a stainless steel tank, and that ferments. And that's the special step of sugar being turned into alcohol. So you go through the fermentation process. This is Pedro, the master distiller. And the other special part of Milagro, other than the roasting, which gives it a lot of yummy, juicy agave flavor, is the distillation process. It's double distilled. The first distillation is in a pot distill, which is, it is what it sounds like, it's a pot. So that really opens up the agave notes. And then they take it and they put it in a column still, which it's what it sounds like. It's a big, tall, thin still. And that process and the way that still is shaped, it really smooths out the tequila. So that's one of the special things about Milagro. And the story goes is that Danny and Moy and Pedro were, making the tequila and experimenting, and they put it in the pot still, and then they put it in the column still, and they tasted it, and they proclaimed, "Oh my God, it's a Milagro, it's a miracle," and that's how it got its name. And so towards the end of the process, you're going to age your tequila in barrels. Reposado and Añejo is aged usually for 3 to 6 months, and then Añejo is aged from 12 to 24 months. And then finally, you have the finished product. So you have on the bottom, you have our core range, and then you have the single barrel range, which is the one that comes in the fancier bottle. And that's special because it's aged in American and French oak barrels. So it's a little more crafted. And that's the long story of how you make tequila.
Wow, thank you. Definitely interesting. Okay, so you've told us a little bit about the process and Milagro Tequila itself. And I know that Jamie went into making like sweeter margarita flavors. What about if you wanted to have a spicier margarita? Is there a different type of tequila you're supposed to be using, or is it more about the ingredients themselves?
Yeah, so probably the quickest way to get a little more spicy would be to go with jalapeno or the pepper, anything that's going to give a little spice. Sometimes I love tequila in a margarita with a really salty rim. So sometimes you even get salts that have a little bit of like chili in them. So I would say the quickest way to get spicy is to change the ingredients. And the only other thing that may be out there is sometimes you see tequila infused with chili, or maybe if you were going to do you're having a house party and you want to do a signature spicy margarita, you could probably put some chili in the bottle if you wanted to give the tequila some kick. But usually the quickest way to get something spicy would be to go for those hot ingredients.
Great, awesome. All right, well, thank you so very much, Eva, for taking the time to be with us today and to share the perfect Milagro margarita. Cheers to everyone, and thank you all for joining us. I hope you're able to join us for our Giving Tuesday finale featuring our comedian Sarge. And if you'd like to register, please refer back to the original Giving Tuesday invitation that you got in your email. Also, don't forget to keep an eye out for an email with additional meaningful ways to connect with our federation and our Jewish community during these unprecedented times. Together with our caring community, we heal, we help, and we give. Stay safe and be well.
Happy Cinco de Mayo. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.